I'm here today to do a mobile making activity. I'm going to make my mobile out of a watercolor picture that I made recently. I chose to do watercolor on both sides of my drawing, so that way when I finish my mobile, it will be beautiful on both sides of the paper. I have some string, a hole punch, scissors, pencil, and paper plate. Just very simple paper plate. Let's get started. The first thing that I'm going to do on my paper is draw some spirals. I gave a lesson in paper cutting as well on this channel that goes into a little bit about spiral drawing and cutting. This is going to use that. So I'm going to start from the edge and draw in, and I'm going to keep my spirals kind of big. There's one. You may or may not be able to see it on the bottom of the paper there. And I'll draw another one over here. Maybe I'll make this one a smaller one. And then maybe a bigger one again. I could add in these little spaces, I could add some more little spirals. You may be able to see all the spirals on my paper. Now, the spiral drawings provide a place for me to cut. I'll start with this big one. I'm just cutting along the line that I just drew on the paper. You can see. You can see the spiral coming out as I cut it, right? And it's got watercolors on both sides. Now as you cut, if it gets too twisted, you can unravel the paper a little bit here. Okay, so I cut out one spiral. Now it's still attached to the paper, right? In the edge. Now that it's cut out, I can just cut that off and I have my spiral, right? So it's up to you how thick your spirals are. Your spirals will be thicker if there's more space between your lines, and they'll be thinner if there's less space between your lines, yeah? I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of my spirals out, and then I'll tell you about the rest of the project. So you can see this spiral here, the lines are closer together. When I cut it out, it's going to be a longer, thinner spiral. It's also a bit more difficult to cut out than something like this that's more broad. this is me still cutting out the really thin spiral. Look how long that is. My goodness. Here I'm cutting one spiral into two spirals. Just cutting down the middle of one spiral I already cut out that I think might be a little too thick, right? So I have so many different ways I can do this. Here are all my mini spirals. Now it's up to me how I want to make a mobile out of them. So a mobile is something that artists make from lots of different kinds of materials, and they often get their name because they hang from something, and then they can do beautiful things in a breeze sometimes, and sometimes that's part of it. You can look up mobile after this and see what kinds of mobiles you can find, some kind of pictures. For this one, we're going to use the paper plate as the thing the mobiles are going to hang down from. These spirals are going to be attached. I imagine it a little bit like a jellyfish, actually. So we're going to use the string to attach our spirals to the plate, and we're also going to use the string to make something to hang our whole mobile up from. So to get the hanging action, it's good to punch 4 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can mark that on your paper so you don't have to keep guessing. Sort of a hole at the top and the bottom, and 1 on each side. Doesn't have to be exact. It'll be fine. Then the hole punch, you want to line up. Ours from the classroom has a little silver line that's going to show me where my hole is. And then this is the bottom. This is where all the little hole punches get collected in the little trap. So I know which way I'm going to slide my hole punch on. Yours at home may be different. Just go on. I line up. And then there I have my hole. 1. I'll put it in for each of these 4. 2. Number 3. And last one. Number 4. Good. All of my little holes are there. They have a little bit of space between the hole and the end of the plate, but not too much. Now you're going to need 2 strings the same length. This is going to determine how long your mobile is. Something that should be more than fine. You may decide that you want it to be a little bit shorter, and you'll be able to fix that once your mobile is made. So these are my 2 strings of the same size. I'm going to tie 1 across each way. This is just my version of doing it, so it'll hang like this. You actually are more than welcome to even hang it like this if you wanted just to tie it twice to one hole and have it open like that. So there's really no right way to do this. Have fun with whatever you like. I'm tying a knot on one side. and I'll tie one over here. I'm tempting to get the two sides, the two ends to be more or less the same length. They're fine. So that is there. Now I'll tie my string the other way. So, there we go. Here we are. I didn't make them exactly the same length, but you can see it's not really a problem. When I hang it up from here, the edges will bounce. Now, I want to add my spirals hanging down here. And I'm going to be pretty careful about how I put them on, because if I put too much over here, then it'll tip one way or the other way. Okay? So this is where it gets to be real fun and you get to do whatever you want. If you like the string and hole punch idea, great, keep going like I'm going. You can also get tape and even tape some things to the top of your mobile here so they might hang down straight in the center. Mine are probably going to go more around the outside. So I'm going to just do some hole punching where I feel like I might want to hang some parts of my mobile. I'm going to make 2 holes in between each of the tie holes. So this one I cut 2 spirals out of 1 spiral. Yeah, it had been 1 spiral altogether and it was very thick, so I cut down the middle of it and I'm going to hang it up from the top here because I think it just looks really beautiful hanging down like this. I'm going to put a hole punch at the top. This is where you have to be very careful to aim properly. There we go. You can see that I put a hole punch and it still has space all the way around it. So I'm choosing kind of a long string for this. I'm going to show you. So you could tie this by threading a needle almost here, going through the plate with both, and then tying like you're doing a knot at the end of some string. Well, I am doing a knot at the end of some string, but say I was sewing. Then you have the knot, but this one's a little too small to really reliably stay, so I'm going to do a double one. I'm going to do another one. So that's how I chose to put that one in there. There we go. That looks lovely. Now the other way that we can do that is the same way that I tied these strings on. Just simply to go through from one side to the other and tie it around the edge. Totally up to you. Right, I'm going to go ahead and attach some more pieces here. This one is so long that if I chose to hang it up just like it is, it would be really long, right? And I mean, that's okay, but I think that I'm going to make it a little shorter. And maybe get a few pieces out of it, right? So this looks nice right there. Ooh. You can kind of pull on the spirals to get them to open up. That looks pretty nice. If you bend your paper a little bit, it'll hang down. So let's test it. Let's see. Those look pretty good together, right? They complement each other really well. So I'll put another hole up in here, about where I want it. And this one I'll show you tying around the outside. So I'll go through. If I can manage it. I'll go through one of these holes. And I'll tie this one around the edge. Ooh, it's starting to be something kind of interesting, right? I have another one here that I cut 2 times. If you ever get to the point where something you've cut is too small to hole punch, you can just tie you can just tie around your spiral. It'll be fine. Take the loop, just tie it around a piece of paper. It's looking pretty good, isn't it? Look at all those beautiful spirals. So something I'm learning as I'm doing this, if some of my spirals are very heavy on one side, then I may not want to put as many things over there. So that way when it hangs up, it can be balanced, the way that this is pretty balanced. It's so lovely, isn't it? So I really like this. I think that I'm probably going to be done. I still have a few spirals. If I feel like it, I can always add more. You can always add decorations to the bottom of your spirals. You could tie on beads or other trinkets. You don't have to use watercolors with this. You can use any kind of drawing or coloring and do the same thing. You can decorate your paper plate. Use beautiful color of yarn. It's really up to you how you make this. I look forward to seeing some of your designs. Bye.